40 years of developing hockey players from youth to the pros, Minnesota Hockey Camps has a player development program for you. Located in Breezy Point, Minnesota, our professionally coached on-ice development sessions, off-ice speed training, weight room sessions, stick handling sessions, shooting skill sessions are the right program for you. MHC takes great pride in its tradition with developing NHL players like Chris Stewart, Ryan Bugsy Malone, Scotty Hartnell, and TJ Oshie. Our dedicated staff is ready for you. Come check us out at MinnesotaHockeyCamps.com. Sign up for your chance to become the player you've always wanted to be. Hashtag who will be next.
Cold showers, leaking pipes, furnace giving you the chills? Look no further. At Iron Range Plumbing and Heating, we've got you covered. From expert plumbing solutions to HVAC magic and all sheet metal work, we are your one-stop shop for comfort and reliability. Professional service from a team that cares. Say goodbye to household woes and hello to peace of mind. Call Iron Range Plumbing and Heating today and feel the difference.
At Grand Rapids Chevrolet GMC in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, we have the trucks. Over 47 new Silverados and Sierras sitting currently on the lot with more to come. We have all the options: LT, RST, LTZ, High Countries, ZR2s. We have heavy duties. We have Sierra, SLT, Elevations, Denali's. We are equipped for the truck you are looking for. With great rebates currently, with up to $12,500 off on select models, now would be a great time to take advantage of savings and get yourself into a new truck today. Grand Rapids GM in Grand Rapids, Minnesota.
Everybody to the Tea with Miss McGill Show, presented by Aero Auto Glass and Supply. Aero Auto provides home services like installing and repairing your windows, glass doors, and glass shower doors. So you got a hockey puck that goes through any of those items, give Aero Auto a call. Aero Auto also offers commercial business, glass doors. Those are the big commercial doors. So if you got a business, got a commercial building, it's Aero Auto. And of course, they're your local source for windshield repairs and replacement with same-day services available. All of their work is warranted, and they accept all insurance companies for your convenience. I was at Aero Auto yesterday. Basically, if it's flat glass, call Aero Auto. Side-by-sides, everything, if it's flat. So they're your source. Downtown Virginia, downtown Hibbing. Thank you very much, Aero Auto Glass and Supply. It is Buka speaking. The star of the show, Coach Reed Larson. Week 9, episode 123, and I'll tell you what, we are in it.
123. We are in it.
We are in it.
We got good stuff to talk about here. There were some pretty big games last night played. There's a lot of big ones coming up for us to quick spotlight.
Yep.
There's some things to run through, a little different format here tonight from you. Normally we got the teams that we completely spotlight. Usually I'm Grand Rapids spotlighting and you're Hibbing Chisholm spotlighting, but there's a lot more going on than just some of our favorites to talk about.
That's right.
We got to kind of dig deep into Section 7 AA. We got to dig deep into Section 7A and kind of some other stuff that's going around here. So big games going on.
Oh, God, that's so many games. I mean, there were just
dig.
so many. I can't believe how much hockey I've consumed in the last week. And I don't see why I wouldn't again this week, because the temps are going like this in the near future here. Of course, Olympics coming, playoffs coming, so it's going to be fun. We got a great, do I dare say spring? I mean, we're not spring, it's January, but I mean, like, spring is looming, so I'm gonna, spring. So I'm gonna say spring. Like,
when's that coming here? June?
It's gonna be tough. The next couple of days, it's gonna get cold. So yeah, like Coach Larson said, a lot going on. Like I said, busiest week of the high school year so far for us. 7AA remains a tossed salad after a couple of contests last night, whereas 7A becomes a little bit more defined. I have a very happy Edina Hornets update, and we want to tell you about a real wild D1 hockey game. You're not going to believe it. But before we jump in, subs this week. Jim Polgarels, happened to be my father, got an iPhone at 80 years old.
Hey.
Douglas Benson, Marty McSherry, Joel Corpy, Jane Potter, Johnny Stompahar, and Mitch Scudamore. So be just like these fine folks and subscribe to America's fastest growing hockey show right now. You know Mitch?
Oh, yeah.
Rapids guy?
Well, no, he married a Rapids gal.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Good
Awesome.
friend of the family.
Giddy up, baby. All right, so our games of the week will be brought to you by the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, Eveleth's Best. Breakfast on the weekends, lunch, dinner, daily specials. We've talked about them. I was there yesterday. Was thinking the Rink Burger. I got so busy talking and working and people coming in, I ended up drinking a pot of coffee. That was it. That was and I had to get going. I had to get to the next place. So I didn't even have time to order.
Brutal.
But got to talk to Michelle a little bit. So dinner specials, of course, and they are burger night on Mondays, Taco Tuesday, Wing Wednesday. You should be able to remember those pretty easy. The Fish Fry Friday, I was going to mention to Michelle, or I saw it on the screen. I think they're back to all you can eat, so you might want to check the website or call them, because it was all you can eat and then it wasn't. But the Friday Fish Fry, the legendary Quad Cities Friday Fish Fry, I believe, according to the screen, there's all you can eat. So, but just make sure you check. I don't want to misinform you. And then Saturday is prime rib. So thanks again to the Ring Sports Bar and Grill in Eveleth, just down from the Hockey Hall of Fame. So like Coach Larson said, a little bit of different format just to save us some time here. So I'm going to go through kind of our games of the week, rapid fire. You might need a pen and paper to kind of keep track of this one because it's going to be a lot, but I'll start with 7AA and then we'll have a little discussion and we'll move on to 7A. So, and of course we did our show Tuesday last week, so there were games going. Normally we're on a Wednesday, so we've got to go all the way back to last Tuesday in Virginia. Rockridge Marshall, 5-rip Marshall midway through the second in a penalty-filled game. Ends up being a Marshall win 6-4. The Hilltoppers did have some breaks early, but they are playing like a team. You know, we talked about, you know, they had that long, 8-0, they had that long win streak, whatever it was. You know, playing a little possessed, they got a little jam, they got a little jazz. 5 different scores for Marshall. Colton Bielke had 2 Genos for Rock Ridge. So, but a 6-4 victory for Marshall in Virginia on Tuesday night last week.
Yeah.
So then Thursday, a week ago tomorrow, Marshall at Mars Lakeview Arena, beat by Cloquet 4-2. Shots 37-35 in favor of Cloquet. Also last Thursday, Rock Ridge gets on the bus, goes down to visit Duluth East. Now Duluth East, 6 overtime games this year, including a 2-1 win over Bemidji, which would have been last Tuesday, January 6th, the same night that Rock Ridge played Marshall. But they were drained by Rock Ridge 4-1 on Thursday night. Rock Ridge came out a little flat against Marshall, but they come out humming down there at Heritage. Cal Scott scored about 3.5 minutes in. He ended up netting 2 goals in the contest. The Greyhounds end the game shorthanded. Rock Ridge got one with 4 seconds to go, so it ends up being a 4-1, really a 3-1 game, but it ends up being a 4-1 game. Shots 24-24, so obviously dead even. Saturday, Rock Ridge gets in the bus again. They go out to Sanford Center in Bemidji in a game they never trailed. They were up 5-2 with about 4.5 minutes to go and ended up surviving a 5-4 win. Yeah, Bemidji kind of got a little fire there at the end. I kind of like to play that John Westby was really flying around for Rock Ridge. Only 1 penalty in the game, pretty rare. Rock Ridge for 2 minutes. Shots 23-17 in favor of Rock Ridge. So now Rock Ridge is 8-8. And I'll just say this rhetorically, and we'll talk about it at the end, but have the Wolverines figured things out? We'll get to that in a minute. Saturday, right here at Yanmar. So I've got a funny story. So I'm going through the steps up there to go upstairs, and I see Coach Mark Manny, right, Mark? Talking to Anton, and I walk through, and I thought I heard some yelling, so I stop and I look, and hey, you, I don't listen to that podcast anymore now that we're not in Section 7 AA with the big spots. So I go over and meet him. We have a little chat. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see. And you know, Anton's having some laughs. And he's like, I was on that show a long time ago. Mark's, I'll have to go back and look at it. So obviously this one, you've probably seen some clips we put up on a rough game. Rapids with a big win, 8-4, shots 31-24 in favor of Rapids. 3 ejections in the game. Our buddy Brian Perpich, his last game reffing here at Yanmar, so he earned it, right? He earned it. He had to work. He had to work with 3 ejections. Now, Dad, we talked a little about KJ Sauer last week when we were previewing, and Dad told me, and I don't know if it's true, But just food for thought, you can comment, but that he has never completed a game at Yanmar.
He's only played 4 games or 2 games here. So he played here as a sophomore and he played here as a senior.
Okay.
Both games that he played here, he got ejected.
Okay, so that was true. Okay, so I heard that from a dad. So like I said, it was kind of a wild game, but we'll talk about this in a minute. Like I said, we get to the end. And then we'll move on to last night, Tuesday night. East hosts Forest Lake. Forest Lake's last Section 7 AA game. Again, East never trailed. They pull it off 3-2 in overtime. Shots 42-35 in favor of East. And last night in Cloquet, the Thunderhawks visiting the Lumberjacks. 4-2 Rapids win. GR with the edge on shots, 25-19. So GR 3-2 in their last 5. So again, rhetorically speaking, as GR turned the corner. So let's just kind of set the stage here now for 7AA. So Marshall does not play Forest Lake.
Nope.
And Forest Lake is done with their section games.
Nope. Forest Lake doesn't play Denfeld.
Right. Yeah. So normally by this time, we've got 1 through 4 kind of pegged. Heck, there's 5 teams still circling for number 1 at this point.
Yeah, there is.
So that's why we're going to dig into this just a little bit. So Rapids still has Marshall and Rockridge. It would be huge games. It would be basically playoff
Rapids
games.
has Marshall, Rockridge, and Denfeld left.
Oh, and Denfeld, yeah. Okay, and Denfeld, yep. And then Marshall and East, they meet late in the year. It's their last game of the year for each of them. So, Coach, again, we'll get back to the top. 7AA, toss salad. You can go wherever you want with this, but I just want to get everything kind of laid out. And like I said, it's really 5 teams, January 15th-ish, we'll call it, still vying for their number 1 spot in the section.
Well, you take a look at where things started this season. Obviously, Duluth Marshall was hot going into the start of the season, banging out the wins they need to. Obviously, we don't want to sit and poke fun at people's schedules. You don't have a lot of control over your schedule when you're trying to build something, and usually it takes a couple of years to build that. They tried, they got the schedule they could. At any rate, they had a good start, right? Yep. Then there was a couple of bumps in the road. There was did you say a loss to Cloquet?
Loss to Cloquet, and then the first one was Superior.
And a loss to Superior, so a couple of bumps in the road that were there. Obviously, bumps in the road for Rock Ridge. There was a loss to Forest Lake in overtime.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks ago.
And a loss to Duluth Marshall. So as of right now, if I had to, in Rapids with their loss to Forest Lake in overtime, if I had to today at today's date, and you're talking about who are the 1 and 2 seed right now without the remaining schedule, well, now you're looking at who's 1 or 2, Duluth Marshall or Forest Lake, because they don't play each other, right? Yeah, right. That's exactly where you're sitting at the moment. But there's games to be played, and some big games to be played. Grand Rapids still not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday plays Duluth Marshall. Or is that on a Monday? Tuesday. Yeah. Then that Friday, that same week, Grand Rapids goes over to Virginia and plays Rock Ridge. That's a huge game. So there's still argument for Grand Rapids in where things are going. There's argument for them if Grand Rapids can win those 2 games and finish the season out by taking down Duluth Denfeld. If Rapid wins out in section, now there's a huge conversation here, right?
Oh, that's a huge conversation,
because right? Duluth East was taken care of by Grand Rapids. There was a tie and a win, which gives Rapids the edge over Duluth East, but Duluth East just took down Forest Lake.
Yep.
Well, if the only bump in the road for Grand Rapids was an overtime loss to Forest Lake, but they took care of everybody else, why aren't they in the conversation for a number 1 seed? Exactly. So obviously, but you also have, you can't rule out Forest Lake. You can't rule out Duluth Marshall. I don't want to rule out Rock Ridge either, but they may have done that to themselves already by a loss to Forest Lake and a loss to Duluth Marshall, right? I don't want to rule them out because I still want to consider those guys in that conversation of the 1 and 2 seed, because those are important games for Grand Rapids to look at as well too. Yep. So Duluth East getting hot at the end of the year. Now you're talking about not 4 teams in the Final Four that, oh, you got a top four seed. You're talking about 5 teams that can beat anybody at any given time.
Right.
So I don't,
somebody's been the outside looking in.
To be honest with you, I don't even really care. You know, obviously want to see the team that I coach win out so that we can get the best spot possible and maybe get set up the best way for bracket play when it comes down to the playoffs. But here's what I'm looking at as a coach and I would be looking at as a fan. Who's playing their best hockey right now?
Yep.
Right? Some teams were hot at the beginning and then maybe kind of leveled off. Some teams started right here and have been going like this and now going like this.
Yeah.
Who's already made it here and is now going like this, right? Those are the questions. And the biggest question as a coach and a fan is who's playing their best hockey in mid-February when it's time to drop the puck for playoffs.
Yep.
And I think those numbers are going to work themselves out. There's going to be arguments. There's going to be people mad. They're going to be pissed. Same old chestnut. I've dealt with it for 22 years.
Yep.
So you're looking at seeding meetings. There has never been a seeding where someone didn't throw some sort of comment, about something because they should have got this seed or they should have got that seed.
There's always somebody that leaves the seeding meeting disappointed or disgusted, right?
You know, I'll tell you what, if Forest Lake doesn't, if they don't end up getting a number 1 seed, they're going to be pissed, right? If Duluth Marshall doesn't end up getting a number 1 seed, they're going to be pissed. But the only way that they won't is if Grand Rapids comes through and takes care of business, going boom, 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 with the 3 remaining section games that they have and some big common opponent games.
And I was going to ask you that because, this all plays in the LSC. You got Cloquet, you got Hibbing, you got Hermantown. How much does that in a seeding meeting, the common opponents? Is it kind of weighed more so to section, or do they say, well, we just beat or we just lost to,
Well, it does.
Hermantown or whatever.
It makes sense because if you're taking a look at, like you said, the tossed salad of the top 5 teams right now, well, you beat them, but they beat them and they beat you.
So it's
this big love triangle. And it's like, well, who do you seed there then? Well, then you have to look at how are they playing right now, and you have to look at, well, who have they beat during the season?
Yeah.
Who are their key wins, and are they common opponents?
Yep.
I don't care about what somebody's record is. I don't care because in my mind, schedule matters.
Sure.
Right? So
100%.
we could play. I don't want to name teams because I don't want to throw them, but we could play all these teams and also have a record of 14-3.
Yeah.
If we didn't play one of the hardest schedules in the state. We play the hardest schedule or one of the hardest schedules in the state in Grand Rapids because the record when playoff starts is 0-0.
Right. Oh, 100%.
Right? That's because you want to play the teams that are going to prepare you for playoffs.
Yep.
Right? And that's where you get. Obviously, there are people that are going to look at, well, our record, we were 20-3, or so-and-so was 18-6 or whatever. People are going to play that narrative, and people are also going to play whatever narrative fits how their season went, too. I get all of that in those games that are played with seeding. But at any rate, this is going to be a very, very interesting seeding process.
100%.
And
interesting the rest of the year. I mean, it's just like every game's big now.
It just gets me excited about high school hockey, and it gets me excited for the end of the year. And for every team that is in that position right now, for Duluth Marshall, for Forest Lake, for Rock Ridge, for Grand Rapids, for Duluth East, those teams that are in the mix right now, you guys deserve to be in the conversation. Your seasons have been, some maybe more roller coastery than others, some really impressive seasons like Marshall and Forest Lake. But you deserve to. You've earned the opportunity to have this conversation right now. but let's see how things shake up.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, like you said, I think you put it best. I'm really excited about high school hockey, especially up here. It's going to be a dogfight to the finish. So, giddy up, everybody. It's going to be, buckle up. It's going to be a great run here to the end. All right. Anything else on 7AA?
Nope.
All right. Let's move to 7A. So, go back to Friday last week. Cloquet with a big statement win, a 1-0 win over Warroad at home. Was 1-0. 4-2 in their last 6. Their now overall record's 9-8. They're up to number 7 in the Let's Play Hockey state rankings, so they're looking solid for a number 3 seed here in 7A. Friday last week, Chisholm-Hibbing hosted International Falls after a timeout by Coach Baldwin. Yuso buried one late with about 3:30 to go, a power play goal to make it 4-2. Chisholm-Hibbing. High Falls had a few chances there at the end. I don't even know if Hibbing had a shot in the last maybe 3 minutes or so when the Falls goalie was pulled. But Chisholm-Hibbing does prevail with the 4-2 win. Shots were pretty lopsided, though, 37-13 in favor of the Blue Jackets. And then, of course, last night the Blue Jackets had a huge one at the new North Star Ford Arena, in Hermantown. Penalty-filled game, 16 penalties, 8 on each side. The Blue Jackets suffered a 5-minute major. I only was able to watch the third period. I was being dad, watching girls basketball instead of Hibbing Hermantown. But just the third period I watched, a lot of players, not just the roughness, but actually a lot of players on their backs. Like follow-through checks. It was rough. It was good. I remember you probably saw it on My 9. So it ends up being a 2-1 Hermantown victory. Hermantown outshoots the Blue Jackets by 139-38. And so the opposite, I guess, 7A is going to be a little bit the opposite of 7AA. So pretty well defined now in 7A, right? We'll have Hermantown 1, Hibbing 2, Cloquet 3. But then that 4th seed, Proctor's probably there. But, High Falls wants to make an argument. They tied 1-1 just a couple of Saturdays ago. But 7A is kind of laying out pretty much what our preseason show.
Yeah, we definitely threw that out there, at least with the top 3. International Falls coming out of there and having a nice season so far and looking good. And Proctor obviously taking a peek at what they've done in the last week. I get that was the awesomest thing that I think I saw. I don't know that we talked a whole heck of a lot about that, but
no, because that was the night we recorded. Because we were the last.
So I do have to say this because if I don't, I will sleep.
You won't go home.
I will sleep in a cold garage if I don't bring this up. My wife is a Proctor alumni. Right. She would be expecting to be back here with green and white pom-poms singing Proctor High, whatever your school song is. Green and white. White team fight. The rails. But she, anyways, this is, I think, the first win since 2004.
Well, here's the stats I
got. Give
it to me. I've got Proctor ended their first loss of the season, 4-3, 40-game winless streak. Last beat Hermantown in '99.
Okay,
is what I
saw.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Shots 37-19 in favor of the Hawks. Francisco did play. I wanted to see if it, so he did play. But here's a stat on that game. So in 2024, the Hawks won in overtime. Last season, 2025, tie, and now Proctor in 2026 gets over the hump.
Yeah. I called that game in 2024. Bob Cohn and I did on My 9, and that game ended shortly into the start of overtime where Hermantown scored an overtime to win that one.
Okay.
But it was pretty fun because A.J. Routes was in that one, and he absolutely stood in its head. And I thought this is one of those nights where a goalie might just steal a miracle win for you. But that Proctor win over Hermantown, it doesn't really hurt Hermantown as much as it helps Proctor when it comes to any rankings or seedings. Hermantown is the number 1 seed. There's no question about it. I'm sure Hibbing would agree. They don't want to, but they would agree. When you get that head-to-head. But it just shows the pride and the rivalry, still there between Hermantown and Proctor. That was pretty cool. My wife was ecstatic when I told her that. She went to the grocery store, and I came back and told her when she walked in the door, and she just about dropped all the groceries in her hand. She was so excited.
Big win for the program.
Yeah, big win. And keep that alive, you guys. I mean, hey, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun to see those rivalries stick around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's why you play the games, right? Anything can happen. You know, David beats Goliath on occasion here.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else on 7A?
Only other than just kind of looking at the Hermantown Hibbing thing. It's we kind of had a couple of conversations about that in the preseason chats and the beginning of the season guesstimates of who's going to be at the end of the section. And Hibbing's playing really good hockey. They're an excellent team. A 2-1 victory with Hermantown. It might solidify a seed and where you're just going to start and play, and then who's going to be the where you're going to have your home ice advantage, and who you're going to be playing against when you are in the semifinals. You'll end up playing the 3 seed in the semifinals. It shouldn't matter as much. And then obviously you're going to be wearing a different color jersey at the section final, and you're going to be getting the last change. That's really the only difference. And to be honest with you, it feels sometimes kind of okay to come into those games as quote unquote an underdog, because it takes maybe a little bit of the pressure off of what everybody's expecting or what everybody thinks you should do or this or that. And
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. I know Hibbing was represented last year, and it was fantastic. It was fun watching them down there. I don't care who you are and who's there. Hermantown still is the favored team coming out of Section 7A. You have to win it a couple of years in a row, and run a slight dynasty to try and take away what everybody in the state expects. Everybody in the state expects Hermantown to be there. When Greenway went back in 2019, it was a miracle Greenway went there. Well, Greenway earned it, right?
Oh, sure.
And Hibbing made it. It's a fluke. They made it. No, Hibbing earned it. They got there. Everybody expects that Hermantown's going to be there. So and the only reason I'm explaining this is because I do think going into that game, Hibbing is still the underdog, even though I think they've got the tools to win it and to go to the state tournament and to win the whole thing.
Yep.
They've got it.
Yep.
They got it. But for whatever reason, the way people view Hermantown in the state of Minnesota, Hibbing is still the underdog to them.
Sure, I see.
And it's kind of nice to be the underdog.
Yeah.
It takes pressure off.
Yeah.
It really does.
Sure. And Francisco.
So take that as a compliment, because sometimes flying underneath the radar just a little bit is going to take away from all of these eyeballs that are just burning laser holes into you, watching you play the entire year going, Hibbing needs to win, they need to win, they need to win. No pressure. The pressure's not on you, it's on Hermantown.
Yeah. So it'll be a good playoff run here like I said, we got semifinal Saturday. We're going to mention some stuff about that in a little while here. So mash the follow button, please. And let's move into our previews, brought to you by Aspire Heating and Control, your local Bryant dealer. Bryant is the official heating and cooling company of your Minnesota Wild. Aspire specializes in gas, electric, and hydronic heating and cooling systems for existing and new construction. Residential and commercial installations available. Services include forced air systems, boilers, heat pumps, and mini splits. They are, of course, licensed and bonded. I just had Justin over last week doing some work. So give him a call, 218-999-5957. I said, temps are diving. You have any furnace issues, here's your guy. He's a hockey guy, Justin, 999-5957. All right, we said it last week. We're saying it again. GR right here hosting a pair of games again this weekend.
Yeah, we've got Friday night, which is senior night here. We've got Lakeville South, and actually that's a doubleheader with the girls program. The girls will be playing.
Oh, really?
I forget who they're playing. I think they're playing Andover.
Okay.
So they play Andover. Girls varsity will play at 5. Boys varsity will play right after at 7, and the JVs are playing over on the extra rink on the other side. So that's kind of a fun night.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be senior night here with Lakeville South, and that's a statement game for us. That's the team that likely will
Yep.
most likely will represent Section 1 AA. It really kind of comes down to them or Farmington right now, as far as where the rankings go and how seasons are going at the moment. And they've had a little bit of a hit or miss, season here and there. Some teams they've beat and some teams they've been really close with. I think that's going to be a really solid matchup for us, and it's big because, as teams start looking past, and you don't want to look past, but you need to prepare for this, right? If you are the team expecting to be playing in the section finals and ready the next day, if you do win and you want to start talking about seedings for the state tournament, you have to think about who is going to be ranked and rated where for seedings at the state tournament. We are now at the state tournament seeding 8 teams at the state tournament. It's not seed the first 5.
Oh, it's all 8 now?
Flip a coin for the last
Oh, I did
3,
not know that.
right?
Okay.
It's you seed all 8 teams.
Okay.
So it really could be a big game for us if we're fortunate enough to find ourselves in section final and voting for a chance to go to state tournament. We need to win this game because that means that we are not a bottom seed, an 8 seed.
Sure.
When it comes to seeding the state tournament.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we need to look at. We've lost to Maple Grove. They could potentially be the team that comes out of that section.
Edina.
We've lost to Edina. They're going to come out of that section. We've lost to, another game that's going to be big is Saturday night.
Yeah.
Right? That could potentially, Hillbury could potentially be the team to come out of their section.
Yep.
If we win that, then that puts us ahead of them in some of those seedings,
Right, yep.
right? So these games where people think, well, they play this really tough schedule and they haven't won any of these games, but why should it matter that they're playing these games? Well, we're playing these games because they're preparing us for the end of the year. But when you do win some of these games, which we're going to need to do,
Yeah.
Friday's huge and Saturday's huge. We take those 2 games down, or one of those 2 games down, it moves us in the rankings or ratings or seedings in the state tournament situation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what we talked about with the Delano Hibbing game a couple of weeks. Remember, I said,
Yeah.
some of the dads said, well, it doesn't matter for sections. I said, but yeah, but it matters for state. You want to, but I didn't realize they were ranked. I knew they used to rank 4, right?
Yeah, they
Just
used to
4,
rank
yeah.
they seed the top 5. They used to do.
Oh,
that.
used to 5. Okay.
Yep, now they're seeding all 8.
Yeah. Okay.
It's starting with that, and
I
it's
did not know that.
It's going to kind of turn some heads a little bit different, maybe with single A, double A, maybe not. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see who comes out of some of these other sections. But all I can tell you is these games. It's not one of those games where people can just say, well, they don't really matter as much as like, well, you gotta go to Play to Rock Ridge. Yeah, that game matters. You gotta go to Duluth Marshall. Yeah, that game matters. It matters first. They matter first because we got to get through the section first. But in the back of our mind, we play these other games for a reason. We play Rosemont for a reason. We play Hill Murray and Lakeville South for a reason because it's down the road where that matters.
Yeah.
We got to do this first, but we got to take care of that business in case if we do get to that point.
Yep. Sure.
Right?
Yep.
It
100%
sets
makes
us up a certain way.
Yep, there you go. Exactly. All right, then Lakeville will head on Saturday to Rock Ridge, so they'll be up here for the weekend, and then Rock Ridge has Proctor tomorrow night. And then on Monday, a couple of teams have already been talking about a rare Monday game, which is actually Martin Luther King Day. Hibbing is hosting Marshall in Hibbing. And then actually Hibbing has a game Saturday also, but we'll get to that in just a minute here. So time to move on to scores and more. Fortune Bay Resort and Casino on beautiful Lake Vermilion. They have 172 rooms in a smoke-free resort, indoor pool, RV park, world-class golf, several dining options, a bar, and of course all the gaming you can handle. Visit fortunebay.com for more details. You can plan your trip right online. You can actually do it while you're listening to the show. It'll just take you a couple of minutes. So Fortune Bay Resort and Casino. All right, we're going to do kind of a bridge thing here because, like I said, we went through a lot. So an abridged scores and more. Quick note on a rivalry game. A couple of rivalry games from last week. Warroad over Roseau, which we talked a little bit about. That was in Roseau Thursday night. 4-1 Warroad victory. Breck and Blake is one that we missed on the previews. 2-2 tie. That's a long, old rivalry. I see Joey Dietzig moved from Minneapolis to coach over at Breck. And then there's another NHLer, I can't remember who it is, that's coaching Blake. Do you remember who that is? But anyway, 2-2 tie for the two private schools down there. We talked a little bit about Hermantown and Proctor already. And we mentioned at the top, a big Walleye Scott Edina Hornets update at home. Thursday night, St. Michael, Albertville, Downs Edina, 2-1. Place went absolutely bonkers. I think at that point they had won 8 in a row. They've dropped a couple since then, but and I don't know, it'd been years, or maybe first time in program history. I couldn't quite find everything. No idea. But that was a big win. And then last night, St. Thomas hands Edina another loss, 3-1. So our buddy Walleye Scott, he's going to need some R&R. He's going to need to go walleye fishing. He needs to get a hold of Fortune Bay. Walleye fishing and a little R&R.
Yeah, that's, Edina's a scary team, but they're also a beatable team. Yeah. And I'll tell you, some of these teams that they're beating and they're having good games and playing against, and then they're getting beat by some of these other teams. Like, oh, I've never seen that before. Right, yeah. STMA, wow, good for you.
Yeah, that was a big one at in Albertville. No, and also was it last weekend? Moorhead beat St. Thomas, correct? They came down, I believe. Moorhead beat St. Thomas last weekend down there.
Yeah, it could be.
And then now St. Thomas goes and beats Edina. So like you said, we're excited for high school hockey. All right, Saturday, Chisholm-Hibbing will host Orono, and they're going to be honoring the 1986 Blue Jacket team that played at the state high school hockey tournaments. Of course, they're 40 year. So if you know anyone, that would be Doug Terrell, that would be Beeve Girardi, that would be Tommy Sullivan. So if you know any of those guys from that 86, Pete Wallers, that would be some of those guys. If you know Pete here from over here? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that would be some of those guys. So show up at Hibbing, an afternoon game there on Saturday. And a wild Division I hockey. We talked earlier in the year in Scores and More about Keith Fisher from Cherry, buddy of mine. He coached at Penn State, since they started the program, but he got the head job at Lindenwood, was just outside of St. Louis, the Division I program. We talked about A.J. Rouse. He was originally a commit there. Then he committed as going to be a Bulldog. But so Fish in his first year. So Lindenwood, Canisius, Lindenwood. Lindenwood was just at UMD this past weekend, but it was the weekend before, so that weekend coming right up, second and third or whatever, coming right off of New Year's. Lindenwood put 75 shots on goal and lost 4-3.
Oh,
so Coach, have you ever heard of a game? I mean, the Bro Award. We have a different reason, but this goalie for Canisius, there's a Bro Award because he faced more than a shot a minute. And as a matter of fact, if you can go to our YouTube channel or Facebook, if you can name the goaltender from Canisius, when we have our semifinal Saturday party down at the Green Mill on February 21st, we'll get you a special prize, but if you put it in the comments. But isn't that crazy? 75 shots and lost. They lost 4-3.
I've never been a part of coaching a team or playing on a team like that, but I've seen or heard of games or situations where goalies were just standing on their head, kicking out 85 saves, 90 saves, but usually they had that many saves that they lost.
Yeah. I mean, that was a bigger
something else. But when you can do that and have a night and still win with that many shots on you, holy crap!
Unbelievable. So, Coach Fisher, best wishes. Just keep the boys rolling. You get 75 shots the next game. Odds are you're going to win. Saw a headline real quick, March 6, 2026, there's going to be a new movie coming out, Youngblood. Have you seen any of that? Mm-mm. It's roaming around, so we're going to keep our eye out. That will actually be like the week of the state hockey tournament. So
interesting.
Yeah, if you know any, sounds like a different script and everything, but it's
March 6th.
March 6, 2026, new movie, Youngblood. Put it in the comments if you've seen or heard anything on
How are we not in that?
That is a great point. Hollywood, where are you on this one? Just missing the boat.
What is going on?
Look at Coach. Look at that beard. You don't want that beard? That's called a playoff beard. Jeez. LA's missing out. So yeah, that's the rumors. If you hear anything, let us know in the comments. So, all right, that's a wrap for episode 123. Anything to add?
Nope. Sounds good.
All right, we will get out of here. We just want to thank the greatest partners on earth before we leave: by Wabick Family and Virginia Family Dental, Aspire Heating and Control, the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, Arrow Auto Glass and Door, Fortune Bay Resort and Casino, Zorba's of Grand Rapids, Iron Range Goalie Academy, Grand Rapids Chevrolet GMC, Minnesota Hockey Camps, the Jackson Hole Moose Hockey Club, Iron Range Plumbing and Heating, and Integral Hockey Twin Ports. For Reed Larson, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the Goat Sports Media Audio Network, cleaned by Virginia Family Dental.
All right, fellas, you just can't get the hockey itch out of yourself. The college route isn't for you. Community college route isn't for you. The junior hockey route isn't for you. Well, there's still hockey that you can play. Why don't you check out the Jackson Hole Moose out in Jackson, Wyoming? Take a look at these guys. Full crowds, full hockey, packed houses every night. Get a hold of TJ Thomas on Facebook, and he can get you hooked up with what's going on out there in Jackson Hole.
Integral Hockey Twin Ports offers top-of-the-line junior, intermediate, and senior sticks for sale. Integral also repairs shafts, blades, and goalie sticks using their patented process that restores your stick's original performance. Same flex, same kick point. Shaft and blade repairs come with a lifetime warranty at the repair spot, so you can trust your stick to perform game after game. Give Sand a call, 218-940-9089.
Would you like to hear about Zorba's specials? On Mondays, it's Micro Monday. All taps are just $4. Tuesdays, $3 tacos and $4 Dos Equis. Wednesdays, personal pizzas, $8 and domestic taps, $4. Thursdays, we have deals on nachos and $5 Surly taps. We offer trivia on Wednesdays at 6 p.m., bingo on Thursday at 6 p.m., and then karaoke Thursdays at 10 p.m.